Morning everyone, welcome to this meeting of Leeds City Region Business Rates Joint Committee. My name is John Grieve and I'll be clerking today's meeting. Moving to the first item of business, election of chair. Could I seek nominations for the position of chair?
Excuse me. My nomination, Councillor Jane Scowen, my nomination is Councillor Susan Hinchcliffe.
Councillor James Lewis, and I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Obviously, Councillor Tim Swift would normally do this role, but obviously is indisposed today, so I'm happy to do that for this meeting. Welcome and thank you everybody to this meeting. So shall we just say who's here? I'm Susan Hinchcliffe, I'm leader of Bradford. You've already introduced yourself as clerk. James, who are you?
Councillor James Lewis, leader of Leeds Council.
Councillor Cathy Scott, Deputy Leader of Kirklees, substituting for Councillor.
Councillor Jane Scowen, Deputy Leader of Calderdale, substituting for Councillor Tim Swift.
Councillor Andrew Waller, Executive Member for Economy and Strategic Planning, City of York Council.
Richard Cooper, Leader of Harrogate Borough Council.
Angela Taylor for West Yorkshire Combined Authority.
Naomi Eastwood for Leeds City Council, presenting the finance report.
Robert Colley, Leeds City Council, Finance.
Thank you very much. So you'll have seen from that roll call that we have a mixture of councillors here and officers. It is just the councillors who have a vote representing their places in this meeting. So we've done election of chair, appeal against refusal of inspection of documents.
There are no appeals, Chair.
Late items.
I'm unaware of any late items of business.
Exemption of information, possible exclusion of press and public. I don't think there is anything today, is there?
No, there are no items we need to exclude the press or public from.
Apologies for absence.
Yes, Chair, a number of apologies for absence. Councillor Jeffrey, Councillor Pandar and Councillor Swift. We have substituting Councillor Scott and Councillor Scullion.
Thank you very much. So anybody, any declarations of interest for anything that's going to be on the agenda today? That is no declarations of interest. So we'll move on to the substantive item, which is the Leeds City Region Business Rates Pool Financial Report. And I believe that's going to be officers from Leeds City Council who are going to set that report out to us this morning. That's Naomi and Robert.
I can refer members to the report on page 5 of your pack. So, as you're aware, the 21-22 Leeds City Region Business Rates Pool was designated by the government to begin on 1st of April 2021, and it's operating this year under the 50% retention scheme. You'll be familiar with the circumstances of pooling. To note that the major risk then of entering into a pooling arrangement is that if the retained business rates income and associated grant income of any member authority falls below 92.5% of the assessed spending requirement, the payment of any safety net would not come from central government, it would come from the pooling arrangement itself and would be met by the member authorities. You will all be aware that this report's been written at a time of heightened uncertainty about business rates income and any associated Section 31 grant from government. Specifically, we have the continued impact of COVID-19 on the region's business rates tax base, which remains unclear, particularly factors such as growth and levels of relief for empty rates relief and level of collection of arrears for business rates. So it's in this context the forecasts for income for the pool from any regional levy payments and discussed at paragraph 4 below are going to be considered. The membership of this year's pool consists of City of Bradford, Metropolitan Borough Council of Calderdale, Harrogate Borough Council, Kirklees Council, Leeds City Council, the Council of the City of Wakefield and the City of York Council. The documents that you have contain a draft memorandum of understanding for the pool, which is attached to Appendix A, and terms of reference for the Joint Committee attached to Appendix B. These remain draft until we ratify them or not at this meeting today. And one of the recommendations to the committee is that we ratify those documents today. The estimated pool income then for 2021-22 in January 21, looking at everyone's NNDR forecasts on their NNDR1, we had estimated income of 4.6 million for the pool. There was a monitoring exercise carried out in August 2021, and that now estimates a slightly increased pool income of 5.1 million, reflecting the reopening of the economy in the last few months, largely. Table 1 on page 7 shows you the levy payments that each of the levy paying authorities are expected to contribute to the pool. Again, paragraph 5 makes you aware of the risks to that funding. So we're a levy pool under 50% business rates retention, and the advantages of forming a pool are that we retain those levy payments within the region that would otherwise be paid to central government. Estimated pool income, as we say, has slightly increased between January estimates and the position in August to 5.1 million, as shown at table 1 above. However, risks to the economy, particularly surrounding the ongoing coronavirus crisis, continue to pose a risk to business rates income and to any associated general fund income streams. We have risks to growth, levels of empty rates relief and bad debt costs, and those risks remain high, especially if any further restrictions were to be imposed in this financial year. For some authorities, a reduction in business rates income may result in the requirement for safety net payment, and that would be required to be met by the pool rather than by central government. The memorandum of understanding for the pool therefore reflects that if any authority falls into safety net, that loss of income would be met by the retained levies from the other authorities. If there are not sufficient retained levies in the pool, the net loss would be shared amongst all members of the pool, including those in safety net. If the pool in its entirety fell into safety net, there would be a safety net payment from government to bring the pool back up to the 92.5% income threshold. The final unaudited position for the pool will not be known until the spring of 2022, when authorities will be able to finalise their known positions for the year. Paragraph 5.7 refers members to the fact that business rates retention was not designed to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Local authorities will need to continue to monitor the ongoing impact of COVID-19 on collection funds and to lobby government for ongoing support to deal with this financial impact should it prove unmanageable. Should any such support be forthcoming, this may mitigate the extent to which the pool is impacted. Moving on to paragraph 6 then, the current projections do indicate that some authorities are close to the safety net threshold, but no authority is currently projected to breach that safety net threshold. Table 2 informs members of how close each authority would be to the safety net threshold. In previous years, predecessor joint committees have chosen to make certain payments on member authorities' behalf to meet the costs that would otherwise be borne by those member authorities individually. These regular payments are set out in table 3 below and analysed between each local authority to give a notional understanding of the benefit to each authority. It should be noted that the figures here are the 2021 payment values, and the figures may increase when the pool is notified of the total cost of each payment in 2021-22. You'll see in the table at table 3 that those costs are the Welcome to Yorkshire subscriptions, Screen Yorkshire payments, and the Lead Authority administration fee. If the Joint Committee approves the continued use of pool funds to meet these payments, the total distribution of funding between member authorities is then set out at table 4 on page 10. The Joint Committee will be asked to consider and approve in principle this distribution of funding from the pool as set out in table 4. These distributions are based on the current pool methodology for 2021-22, which members will recall are based on 50% of growth above the baseline for authorities and 50% on population. Moving on to paragraph 7, on the 13th September 2021, the government emailed authorities within the scheme with an invitation to pool for 2022-23. The government requires a response to that invitation by the 8th of October, so the Friday of this week. If an existing pool wishes to continue into 2022-23, the government has asked the lead authority inform government by that date and submit government's documents with that confirmation. If a pool wishes to revoke its status, change its membership or arrangements, including the allocation of resources between authorities in that pool, any details of the change also need to be submitted to government. Members will be aware that that documentation, when it came out from government, included an alternative methodology for redistribution of funding within pools. The figure work for that alternative were distributed to directors of finance for each authority, for each member authority, for some discussion. Given the short timeline to get back to government by the end of this week, we did contact them again to ask whether we needed to finalise that methodology by this Friday. And we've been informed that we do need to submit documents by this Friday, but should we wish to alter that methodology, we can inform government by the 22nd of October. So we actually have another couple of weeks to determine which methodology for distribution we want to go with. But we do need to let government know by this Friday whether we wish to continue with the pooling arrangement and all members wish to continue to be in the pool. So officers will be in touch with you all to give you the information that we need to make that final decision about the methodology for distribution. Joint committee are asked then in principle and subject to these ongoing discussions to approve the continuation of the business rates pool in 2022-23. I hand over to you, Councillor, for the recommendations.
Thank you very much. So just to clarify, it sounds like we're going to need another meeting then before the 27th, is that right?
I think we can have that conversation by email if members are happy to do that, as long as we have written confirmation from everyone.
Directors of Finance need to confirm.
So we'll need written confirmation from directors of finance as to which methodology they wish to pursue, and then we'll reach agreement and we'll ensure that everybody's aware of that before we submit it. Thank you.
So it sounds like we'll do that on email. Also, obviously by this Friday, we have to decide whether to continue with it or not. But obviously, as you said earlier in the report, there's lots of things that are in flux nationally at the moment. And what kind of scope is there for review after this Friday if things change?
So members can make the decision by this Friday to continue to pool for 22-23. There is then the opportunity for any member to decide to withdraw from that pooling arrangement within 28 days of the provisional local government settlement. However, should any member decide to withdraw during that period, then the pool cannot continue. There's no opportunity to reconstitute the pool and continue without that member.
So it's all or nothing. One for all and all for one kind of thing, I think is probably what we're heading for. And Councillor Waller, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions. I appreciate that, like every authority, we've been asked to anticipate grants and expenditure in a very uncertain world. So it's understanding how long we have to allocate this with the benefit of additional information as the empty shops and other things work through the system, without the threat of clawback from government because we haven't allocated quickly enough. So it's understanding the timeline for this and appreciating that the democratic decision is taken in the budget process, in effect, so that's the way that it's visible to members of the public. And finally, that there's no financial advantage to an authority withdrawing because all of this money would just disappear back to central government. So none of it would be held locally, and therefore there's no advantage to pulling out. Thanks. Yeah.
In terms of how long do we have to make the decisions as to spend the money, and how certain are we as to how much money the pool will have, we don't have to make all of those decisions at this point in the year. We can decide to spend throughout the year as we meet, but we have to have made the decisions by the year end,
31st of
by the 31st of March next year. So we'll continue to monitor, and we may see the estimates change as we continue to monitor, and that may then influence our decisions. We may want to be cautious and not allocating full at this point in time, and then take a view later in the year when we feel more certain.
In the times of straitened public finance, I'm not sure we can hold on to money just to cash in the bank waiting to see, can we? I suppose that's an issue. Councillor Lewis and Councillor Scullion.
I think it's been quite useful so far to understand, first of all, that we, recognising all the uncertainty, we don't have to make decisions about spending right now, but it's a very convincing point that came out from Councillor Waller's contribution that there is no advantage to not agreeing the pool. And I think that's something we all need to understand when it comes to the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Scullion.
Thank you. I absolutely agree with the points that have been made. I think we are being asked today to approve in principle, and we're certainly very happy to do that. And we won't know until we get the local government settlement, the details, what it is we're actually allocating in terms of the full amount. And I was reassured by the part in the paper about the calculations in the safety net, and Councillor Waller's right, we don't know, but these are really, I think, I know in our own case, really quite careful calculations. So I think that we're not likely to trigger that. So I'm very happy to support the proposed decision in terms of the allocations in principle, and also the continued involvement in the business rates pool. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chair. Just to agree with everything that's been said, and to move the recommendations. I fear it will be our last year as a member of the business rates pool, because the government has seen fit to abolish us next year, but it's been great fun and we'd love to do it for another year. Happy to move.
It's great fun having you with us as well, Councillor Cooper. Always excellent entertainment. So that's a recommendation. I'm happy to second that. Can I see all those in favour, please show? That is carried. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you need from us today? Nothing. Lovely. In that case, I declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.
Can we switch the webcast off, please?